The devastating story of John Edward Jones, trapped for more than a day inside Nutty Putty Cave before dying there in 2009. John Jones loved spelunking with his family. His father frequently took him and his brother Josh on caving expeditions in Utah when they were kids. The boys learned to love the underground depths and their dark beauty. Unfortunately, John's first expedition into Nutty Putty Cave, southwest of Utah Lake and about 55 miles from Salt Lake City, was his last. At the age of 26, John was in the prime of his life. He was married, had a 1-year-old daughter, and was attending medical school in Virginia. He had come back home to Utah to spend some relaxing holiday time with his family. Things did not go according to plan. It had been years since John was in any cave, and at 6 feet tall and 200 pounds, he wasn't the little kid he used to be. About an hour into the caving expedition, John decided to find the Nutty Putty Cave formation known as the Birth Canal, a tight passage that spelunkers must crawl through carefully if they dare. He found what he thought was the birth canal and inched his way into the narrow passage head first, moving forward using his hips, stomach, and fingers. But within minutes, he realized he'd made a grave mistake. John knew he was just about stuck and had no room to turn around. He didn't even have room to wiggle back out the way he'd come. He'd have to try to press forward. He tried to exhale the air in his chest so that he could fit through the space that was barely 10 inches across and 18 inches high, which is about the size of the opening of a clothes dryer. But when John inhaled again and his chest puffed back out, he got stuck for good. Back in 2004, 2 Boy Scouts had nearly lost their lives in separate incidents in the same area of Nutty Putty Cave where John became trapped. The 2 Boy Scouts had become trapped within a week of each other. In one of the cases, rescue crews took 14 hours to free a 16-year-old scout, who weighed 140 pounds and was 5'7", making him much smaller than John, and they had to use a complex series of pulleys. Officials closed Nutty Putty Cave in 2004, soon after the incidents with the Boy Scouts. The cave had only been reopened for 6 months in 2009 when John and his family entered. And now with John Edward Jones trapped inside the cave, time was running out. The downward angle at which John was trapped was putting great stress on his body because such a position requires the heart to work incredibly hard to continuously pump blood out of the brain. Rescuers tied John with a rope connected to a series of pulleys. Everything was ready and they pulled as hard as they could. But suddenly, and without warning, one of the pulleys failed. One of the rescuers on scene, Sean Roundy, believes that the pulley came loose at its anchor point in the cave wall, which contains a substantial amount of loose clay. The rope and pulley operation was no more. The rescuers had no other viable plans, and John was still trapped. Roundy replays the rescue over and over in his head, even years after the incident. He says, "I reviewed the whole mission, wishing we'd had done this tiny detail differently or done that a little sooner. But it's no use second-guessing things. We did our best." With no hopes of rescue and his heart having suffered hours upon hours of strain due to his downward position, John was pronounced dead of cardiac arrest shortly before midnight on the evening of November 25, 2009. Rescuers had spent 27 hours trying to save John. His family thanked rescuers for their help, even despite the horrible news. Nutty Putty Cave lived up to its reputation on the night of John's death. Discovered in 1960 by Dale Green, he named it Nutty Putty because of the clay, the kind of clay that likely caused the pulley to give out. Officials sealed off Nutty Putty Cave for good a week after John's death. They never recovered his body, which remains inside to this day, for fear of more deaths that might result from such an operation. Now sealed up, Nutty Putty Cave serves as a natural memorial and gravesite to John Edward Jones. Remember, if it's more interesting, you can find it here. Make sure to like, comment, and hit follow. Thanks, guys.